We devote the whole of our programme to one of the most challenging events on the South African sporting calendar, the mainstay Dusi Canoe Marathon between Pietermaritzburg and Durban. Well, after the deluge of the last few days in Natal, which many of us have just been watching in the 6 o'clock television news, you may be a little surprised at the trickle you see in the pictures we're going to show you, and we're just wondering which the canoeists really prefer, a trickle and lots of dryness around them and that long dry grass with plenty of portaging, or whether they prefer a sweeping torrent such as you can see in the rivers now. Anyway, I imagine it depends on whether you're a good runner or a good paddler. Here it is then, the joys and sorrows, the stress and the strain, the disappointments and the triumphs of the Dusi.
From Alexandra Park in Pietermaritzburg to the Blue Lagoon in Durban, the race is spread over 3 days. The winners cover 120 kilometers of winding river, dirt road and hill path in about 10 hours. But each day is equivalent to a road running marathon. The 3 days' effort equivalent to 3 full marathons run back to back. The canoes are combinations of glass fiber, carbon fiber, Kevlar and nylon. A single or K1 must weigh at least 12 kilograms, a double or K2 at least 18. A pair of paddles weighs 2 kilograms. A harness weighs at least 1 kilogram. A litre of liquid, another kilogram. No longer the sturdy river canoes built of canvas stretched on wooden frames, familiar to men like Ian Player.
Yeah, and there have been a lot of changes in the race since you first won it in 1951. What are the most significant changes that you notice?
Well, the first thing, of course, the design of the canoes, the weight of the canoes. I mean, our canoes weighed over 100 pounds. Also, of course, we had to carry everything with us, which today, as you know, is taken down by vehicle. So that really is a very significant change in the race.
And the river, do you think the river's changed a lot since 1951?
Without any question, there's been tremendous changes. Of course, the dams, and also one can see the effect of the erosion. And that's why I believe that this is a very important race, not only from a sporting point of view, but also from an environmental point of view. Every year, the state of the environment in Natal is really brought to the attention of people all over the country. Anyway, Rob, one thing about the race, that once you've gone down the river, you're never the same.
4 years ago, the race was open to women for the first time, provided they shared a double canoe with a man.
Stefan Andre, the water level's a bit disappointing today. What would you like to say about it?
Robbie, it doesn't really worry me. We've prepared for any level of water, so we're quite happy.
Steph, are you looking forward to the day?
Yes, I'm glad it's here at last. Looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun.
Mike, as last year's single winner, how do you fancy your chances today?
Well, last year there's a lot less water, and I was prepared for the running, but the last 2 months we've had brilliant water, and now the last 2 weeks there's no water. So I don't know, my legs have to carry me through.
Mark, the water level isn't too good today. How do you fancy your chances?
Well, the lower level, I think it's improved our chances slightly. Ken and I are going to now try and run the runs we're going to run as fast as we can, but paddle wherever we can as possible.
Graham, after all the rain, we've ended up with a low river. How do the conditions suit you?
Very, very disappointing. I'm really sorry that it's so low. And of course the heat's not going to help us one bit today.
Danny, there's no water in the river. You've got your conditions. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think I'm feeling pretty confident. I don't think Graham will be able to stay with me on the portages. And I'm just glad Zola Bud isn't here.
The best 24 of the qualifiers are given the front rows at the start, followed by the others in the first 100. They will start together at 7 o'clock. 10 minutes later, the next 100 will start, and so on. Canoes creep forward during the countdown, risking penalties as they nudge for position. The 1984 mainstay Dusi Marathon gets underway on the muddy Dusi River. Seconds lost at the start can mean a loss of long minutes later when the boats jam the river. At Commercial Road where Rob Gandy and Andre Fenter lead, closely followed by the rest of the bunch.
SFW, the makers of Mainstay and
At low-level bridge, 5 kilometers from the start, the canoes leave the river to begin the longest portage of the race. Mike Tocknell leads, but the running will prove too much for him. He is followed by Graham Pope-Ellis. Pope-Ellis, winner of 10 Dusi marathons, is favoured to win. The leading double combinations arrive at the bridge and are eager to set out on the portage. Danny Biggs, also a past winner, and strongest challenge to Graham Pope-Ellis. When the run begins, Biggs is lying 16th, well placed for the 9-kilometre portage, which includes Bishopstowe Hill. Mike Tocknell, winner of the K1 section last year, settles down to the first portage. Graham Pope-Ellis is hot on his heels. Danny Biggs, a Natal canoeist and marathon specialist. He has already won the Gary Player Trophy for the best combined time in the Comrades and Dusi marathons and is intent on proving the advantage of fitness when portaging. In Subantu village, Springbok paddler Mike Tocknell loses his early lead to Pope-Ellis. But the lead will change many more times before the 3 days are over and the surviving boats reach the sea. Tim Cornish lends encouragement to Pope-Ellis. Cornish was meant to partner Pope-Ellis in a double, but was injured in training and forced to withdraw. Running at an incredible speed, Danny Biggs overtakes Pope-Ellis about 4 kilometres after the start of the portage.
It's very, very early in the stage. There's a crowd of people around you, so you've got to be careful that you don't go too fast up Bishopstowe Hill. You've got to keep a certain amount of strength for later on in the day. That is only but one of many, many portages through the 3-day race.
Biggs covers the first 4 kilometres of the run within 19 minutes. He will run even faster after the hill, setting a pace of 4,36 each kilometre, a time of 3 hours and 13 minutes for a standard marathon, and Biggs is running with a boat. On the long path down to the Campbell's Farm checkpoint, Biggs opens his lead to 1 minute. He will reach Campbell's Farm in a record time of 1 hour, 4 minutes and 5 seconds, breaking the record by almost 3 minutes. But Pope-Ellis is only 30 seconds behind. Bruce Wenker and Brian Fowles are the first doubles combination past the checkpoint. Mike Tocknell, first at low-level bridge, staggers through the checkpoint. The mixed doubles, Andre and Daphne Harden, replace lost body fluids. Meanwhile, the middle of the field are spread along the portage between Bishopstowe Hill and Campbell's Farm. Already the heat is closing like a barrier. The sky is a grey haze of vapour. The valley closes out any wind. Between Campbell's Farm and the Guinea Fowl portage, Danny Biggs has opened his lead still further. At the top of Guinea Fowl 2, Graham Pope-Ellis reflects on what the paddlers call Hell's Gully.
Second Guinea Fowl is really hard. It's closed in by bush. There's Christmas beetles singing and at such a high pitch in your ears. The heat is absolutely unbearable, and it's in a valley with the bush in such a way that it doesn't get a breath of wind in there. And as you get into it, it's like running down into a huge big oven.
The pattern has been set for the day, with Biggs getting the better of Pope Ellis on the portages. Biggs, the supreme runner, is now 1 minute, 50 seconds ahead. They run along the Mission Road over Finger Neck and up the Cabbage Tree Hill. Other competitors are also feeling the heat of a midsummer morning, much to the amusement of a local onlooker. The paddlers at Tegwan Rapids, just after Campbell's checkpoint, are yet to feel the heat of Cabbage Tree. The leaders arrive at Yellow Rock, about 1 kilometre from the finish. They must pass between the yellow splash on the rock and a flag on the opposite bank. Biggs still leads at the Yellow Rock, but he is feeling the effects of his massive effort. His body must pay for the incredible time he made on the Campbell's portage. Relentlessly, Pope Ellis closes the gap again. On the water, Pope Ellis overtakes Biggs. With the first day behind him, he leads by a slender 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Well done.
A smiling Danny Biggs paddles into second spot. Robbie Stewart spoke to the leaders about the day's run.
What did you find the worst thing today, Graham?
I would say that Bishopstow Hill, I just couldn't get going. This was hot and it just couldn't get going. The legs were sore, the body was tired. I just felt really, really run down. And it wasn't until I got to just after halfway, which is Guinea Fowl Portage, where I began to feel a little better.
Danny, you were 3 minutes behind at low level and caught that in the first 4 kilometers. Do you think you maybe pushed it too hard there?
Possibly, yeah. It didn't feel fast, you know, Rob. It felt quite slow, but I was quite cross because something had happened. You know, I got turned around, and I wanted to make it up. And perhaps I did go a bit fast, but you can't make that sort of excuse now. It's too late, you know. So basically, there are 2 days to go. Anything can happen still. It's very, very close.
By mid-morning, the heat is intense. Boats seem heavier, bodies are starved of liquid, muscles do not want to go on, and a shower of cold water is invigorating. Former Springbok rugby captain Bainon Klaasen feels the heat.
It's been absolutely unreal. Made it a hell of a battle, but otherwise it's great. Enjoy it very much.
The first overnight stop is at the Dusi Bridge. Daphne and Andre Harden are the first mixed doubles home, despite an injury to Andre's ankle.
Daph and Andre, how did it go today?
It was all right, Robbie. It was very hot. And very slow.
How did you find it, Daph?
Okay, I had my first experience of carrying half the boat. I've decided I've been spoiled and I enjoy it that way. No, I'm a bit concerned about Andre's ankle. He fell going down Guinea Fowl.
Where did you fall, Andre?
Guinea Fowl 1.
Guinea Fowl, Robbie.
Day 2, 38 back-breaking kilometres, at least half of which will have to be run. The first 8 kilometres will take the paddlers to the end of the Dusi River at its confluence with the Umgeni. From there, the valley is narrow and deep, the river locked between high slopes entangled with bush. There are a few sections where it is compulsory to portage or to paddle, but there are also countless choices of path and paddling course. Pope Ellis has only 85 seconds in hand, and there are long stretches of running where Biggs will be faster. The hardest run is compulsory over Ngumeni Hill. At Mariani Foley Causeway, seconds and spectators await the leader. And it's Biggs who is first to appear. Running on opposite banks of the river, the leaders are within 20 seconds of each other. Pope Ellis has won the race 10 times already. He maintains a constant pace and the gap closes to 12 seconds. Richard Whitten of the Kingfisher Canoe Club Durban, still within minutes of the leaders, passes the Nagunjwa School, one of the beneficiaries of the Valley Assistance Fund, established to buy materials for the building of schools and for adding classrooms. This money comes from a percentage of each entry fee for races on this river. Ngumeni Hill is the hardest portage of the second day. The path climbs steeply from the river and winds through dense bush. Danny Biggs leads on the uphill run and goes over Ngumeni Hill before Pope Ellis is in sight. Pope Ellis comes up Ngumeni Hill and is met by Tim Cornish. Bruce Wenker and Brian Fowles are the first double combinations at the top of Ngumeni Hill, followed closely by John Edmonds and Richard Whitten. The fish and chips reach the slide long after the leaders. Taking out is the safer course here, but some decide that the water slide has more to offer. It is a canoe race after all. So long as the canoe does not wrap around a rock, no harm is done. But paddlers are advised not to drink the water. The penalty is a dose of Dusi guts. Shortly after Ngumeni Hill, Danny Biggs makes a serious mistake. The runner decides to paddle, while Pope Ellis, the paddler, stays on the path, running. Biggs's 2-minute lead evaporates.
The Dusi is a very, very tricky race. You've got to know the way and you've got to know which is faster, whether to portage or whether to paddle, and also to know which side of the rapid to negotiate, whether to go the left or on the right, where the faster currents are. That's the stage that I really enjoy.
Biggs decides to run on the right bank at Hippo Rocks, a decision which could cost him the race.
I decided to do the Dusi after the 50-miler, which I won fairly comfortably after having done absolutely no canoeing training at all. And so I thought, if the river was low, then I would do the race, but not alter my training at all. I would carry on training for the comrades. So basically my Dusi training this year is totally comrades orientated.
Pope Ellis is faster than Biggs in the water, and he uses the river to give his legs a vital rest. Over many sections, he paddles no faster than Biggs can run, but the rest will mean that his legs are stronger on the next portage. Biggs has trained for running, and he has to rely on his legs. For him, there is no rest. Pope Ellis has whittled away the 2-minute lead held by Biggs. Skillfully choosing his time to paddle and his time to run, he leads again. Now he is 63 seconds ahead of Biggs, but Biggs is gaining time on the long run.
Go, got him. Okay, catching a bit. Denny?
Mark Conway and Kenny Reynolds struggle to gain time on Bruce Wenker and Brian Fowles, but there is little to choose between the two leading doubles, and John Edmonds is keeping up in his single. Any serious delay by Biggs or Pope Ellis would see this group spring into the lead. Paddlers struggle to the top of Ngormeni Hill, calling for water. The second day is a little cooler than the first, and intermittent drizzle reduces the risk of dehydration. Going down is faster, but it tests the thighs and ankles on uneven paths. Thorns and nettles are added hazards. Legs take the strain of downhill running. Many shoulders are bruised and blistered by the weight of the boats. Mike Frizzell from the Kingfisher Canoe Club, Durban, falls at Tomby, and Dave Hoffmeyer finds plenty to laugh about. Chris Greef paddles alone in the front of his broken double canoe. Pope Ellis finishes the second day. He leads the race by 3 minutes and 11 seconds, but will it be enough? Danny Biggs is behind, but not yet beaten. Mark Conway and Kenny Reynolds are again the first K2 to reach the overnight stop. The first mixed double home is once again Andre and Daphne Harden. The Hardens are the only couple to have won the mixed doubles. Chris Greef arrives unamused by his broken boat.
Chris, you had a bit of a mishap at Tomby Rapid today. Do you like to tell us about it?
Oh, Robbie, we went there and one of the spectators on the bank showed us that we could go through, that it's clear. And we like to shoot everything we can, and it looked possible, so we went in, and a K2 it just wasn't possible. We nearly wrapped the boat in half, but we lost quite a bit of time through that, but we carried on. We're still in a serious race with Willem van Riet and Pierre van der Merwe. We're about 20 seconds still ahead of us, but we'll catch them tomorrow.
Is your boat repairable?
Yeah, our second will have to do that. We're not doing it. But it's quite easily repairable.
The smell of resin hangs over the camp as glass fibre is rasped and patched under a clouded sky. Not only the canoes require repairs, but tired and blistered bodies are sympathetically attended to. The third day begins at the dip tank. Heavy rains have fallen overnight, but this has made no difference to the level of the river. This year, the famous Burma Road portage is prohibited. Competitors must go around, so that mealie fields are not trampled underfoot. Biggs knows he must go all out to overtake Pope Ellis and to open a lead before the long river stretch at the end. Pope Ellis sets off at 7 o'clock with a lead of 3 minutes 6 seconds. Danny Biggs, John Edmonds and others, within 30 minutes of the overnight leader, are started on their times from the second day. The pack gets underway in a Le Mans-type start. From the start of the third day to Kumalu's Causeway, competitors have to paddle. This is the chance Pope Ellis needs to open his lead. After Kumalu's, the running sections will favour Biggs. Biggs has lost 2 minutes and 10 seconds on this paddle. John Edmonds tries desperately to narrow the gap between himself and the leaders. His stout effort will earn him 3rd place in the K1 section and 5th place overall. Mark Conway and Kenny Reynolds hold a slender lead in the doubles. Others decide to attempt to shoot under the causeway.
Commander!
At Top's Needle, Danny Biggs is almost sprinting to catch up with Graham Pope Ellis, who manages to maintain a tenuous 5-minute lead. The Dusi is fraught with many dangers, not the least of which is getting lost.
I'm pretty short-sighted, so the thing I fear most is taking a wrong path, which I did last year once or twice, and getting lost on the river.
The mixed double of Martin Lowenstein and Marlene Boshoff pull out all the stops in a bid to better the overall time of Andre and Daphne Harden. And although they will be the first mixed double home on the 3rd day, it will not be enough. At Tops Needle, with lower water this year, it is quicker to run the right-hand bank than it is to take the spectacular but rocky rapid. The leaders all take the right-hand bank, but many are determined to test themselves among the rocks. Only singles are nimble enough for the water. In years to come, the rapids will disappear underwater as they become part of the Inanda Dam. When the leaders reach the Burma Run, Pope Ellis is still leading, but Danny Biggs is closing in on him.
I find that during the race, using a harness is the best way of portaging because it makes it so much easier. Your boat's balanced and you can run much more naturally than without one, where your neck is at an incredible angle and you can't really see the nose of your boat, especially when you're going down a hill fast. So I find the harness is far better than not using one.
Biggs gets past and chooses to run the Five-Finger Rapids. Pope Ellis chooses to shoot Five Fingers, and he snatches back the lead. Meanwhile, the rest of the field are spread out over a wide area, including Tops Needle, Island, Five-Finger Rapids, and the Pump House Weir. Above Kennedy's Drift, approaching Durban's Outer Ring Road, and Pope Ellis has the lead. Both men have run and paddled to the brink of exhaustion. The leaders pass under the Outer Ring Road Bridge and paddle into a temporary lake, known to paddlers as Lake McLeod, now a stretch of flat water, while it is held by a temporary weir for dredging. The lake will disappear when the weir is removed. The first two canoes enter the final long stretch of water, where the body revolts against the urgings of the mind. Only willpower and exceptional stamina can keep the arms moving. Paddles stir the mud beneath the surface, and shoulders and arms feel the drag of the shallow silt along the hulls. Graham Pope Ellis passes between the yellow flags to win his 11th Dusi. His time is 9 hours, 56 minutes and 44 seconds. His wife Wendy is on the bank to meet him. Danny Biggs passes the flags 4 minutes and 56 seconds later. Time enough for barely one of the 120 kilometers he has raced. Proof perhaps that comrades training only is not enough for a canoe marathon. Mark Conway and Kenny Reynolds are the winners of the K2 section, beating Bruce Wenker and Brian Fowles by 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And finishing with a plunge into the soothing waters of the river they have just beaten. Andre and Daphne Hardin successfully defend their title as the mixed double champions of the Dusi.
Graham, congratulations. Fantastic
Thanks very
effort.
much, Robbie.
Did you have a hard day today?
Yes, Danny went exceptionally well. Managed to get up a lead on him, and then he just went like an absolute rocket. And he caught up 5 minutes in less than about 45 minutes. He really ran very, very hard. And he made a bit of a mistake on one of the portages. He went rather low down. I took a shortcut over the high side and managed to catch up to him. And when he put back in at 5 fingers, I was less than 40 seconds behind him. And then it was just a case of trying to hang on until the 12-kilometer flat stretch home.
Wendy, you had some anxious moments today.
I think so, yes. It wasn't nice knowing how the position was before the place where I was seconding. But when they got to me, they were together. And then I knew that if Graham could pass him, if they were so close at the place I was seconding.
How far ahead was Danny at that stage?
He was about 100 yards, not much more than that.
When I got to the outer ring road, I just went through a real bad patch. I could hardly move my paddles. It was terrible. And then as I got towards the finish, sort of managed to break through it and paddled home to the finish.
Wendy, you must be very proud of Graham.
Very proud.